The sun had barely risen, painting the sky with soft shades of orange and pink. The city was waking up, and the air buzzed with the sounds of cars, footsteps, and the faint rhythm of people rushing to work. Among the crowd was Danielle, a young black woman in her early 30s, dressed neatly in a navy blue blazer and crisp white shirt. Her heart was beating fast, not because she was late, yet, but because today was the most important day of her life. For months, Danielle had been searching for a stable job. She had worked part-time in small stores, taken up odd freelance work, and even babysat for neighbors to make ends meet. But this interview, this one, was special. It was at a large marketing firm that she had dreamed of joining for years. Getting this job would mean security, dignity, and a fresh start after a long period of struggle. The morning air felt colder than usual as she stepped out of her small apartment, clutching her brown leather handbag close. She checked her phone. 7:42 a.m. The train she needed to catch was at 7:50. If she missed it, she would be late. And being late on an interview day was something she could not afford. Her heels clicked quickly against the pavement. As she hurried down the busy street toward the station, she could already see the top of the tall station clock in the distance. Her breath came out in quick clouds, and her mind was racing faster than her feet. She thought about the question she had practiced the night before. Tell us about yourself. Why should we hire you? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? She had gone over every possible answer 100 times, whispering to herself in front of the mirror until midnight as she weaved through the morning crowd. Danielle smiled politely at a few familiar faces she often saw on her way to the train. Most were in their own worlds, some sipping coffee, others scrolling through phones, everyone chasing their own version of time. The smell of roasted coffee beans and fresh pastries from the corner bakery tempted her for a moment, but she didn't stop. Not today. Her phone buzzed. It was her best friend Maya, sending a quick message. You got this, girl? Remember, you're made for this. Just breathe. Danielle smiled softly and texted back a quick heart emoji before slipping the phone into her pocket. Maya had been her biggest cheerleader through every rejection letter and every long night of doubt. That one message gave her a little push of courage. The station came into view, a wide building filled with movement and noise. Danielle's pulse quickened as she walked faster, her heels tapping like a rhythm of determination. Inside, the loudspeaker announced, "Train number 246 to downtown will depart in 3 minutes." That was her train. 3 minutes. She glanced at her watch, again 7:47. Her stomach twisted slightly with nerves. She tightened her grip on her bag and began to jog toward the platform, her mind filled with thoughts of success. Just make it on time, she told herself. Everything else will fall into place. She imagined herself sitting confidently across from the interviewers, speaking clearly, answering perfectly, maybe even getting that warm handshake that said, "You're hired." But as she moved through the crowd, the chaos of the station made everything blur together. People shouting, footsteps echoing, the screech of trains arriving and leaving. The floor was slick from last night's rain, and she almost slipped as she hurried down the stairs to the platform, catching her balance. She took a deep breath and kept going. Her heart pounded as she spotted the train doors still open in the distance. She could see passengers stepping in and out. She was just a few steps away now. "I'm going to make it," she whispered under her breath. Then, suddenly, something caught her eye. Just a few meters away, near the ticket counter, an old man was struggling to bend down. His bag had spilled across the floor, oranges rolling in every direction, papers scattered like leaves in the wind. People walked past him without even slowing down. Some glanced for a moment, but quickly looked away. Danielle's steps slowed, her mind raced. She could still catch the train if she ran now. The doors hadn't closed yet. But the sight of the man, bent over and helpless, tugged at her heart. She looked at her watch, 7:49. 1 minute left. Someone will help him, she thought. But as she looked around, no one did. Everyone was too busy, too focused on themselves. Danielle stood frozen for a second. The sound of the train whistle echoed through the station. Her brain told her to run, but her heart said otherwise. Something inside whispered, "What if that was your grandfather? What if he needed you?" She sighed softly, her heartbeat slowing, her decision already made. Without thinking twice, she turned and ran toward the old man. The train doors were still open behind her, but her attention had shifted completely. She crouched down beside him, gently gathering the scattered papers and rolling oranges. "It's okay, sir," she said kindly. "Let me help you." The man looked up, surprised, his eyes tired but warm. "Thank you, my dear," he said in a shaky voice. No one stopped. "I thought I'd have to leave half my things here." Danielle smiled, shaking her head as she placed the last orange back into his bag. "Don't worry about it. I'm happy to help." Behind her, the train doors beeped. Then came the final sound, the metallic clink, as they closed. The wheels began to move, and the train slowly pulled away from the platform. Danielle turned her head just in time to see it leaving. Her heart sank for a moment, but she didn't say anything. The old man gave her a grateful smile, unaware of the opportunity she had just missed. And in that small, quiet moment between two strangers, something powerful was set in motion, something that would soon change Danielle's life in ways she could never imagine. The train disappeared down the tracks, leaving behind a gust of cold air and the faint echo of wheels clattering against metal. Danielle stood still for a moment, clutching the old man's bag as he slowly steadied himself. Around them, the crowd continued to rush by, busy faces, hurried steps, people chasing time like it was something they could catch if they just moved faster. But for Danielle, time seemed to slow down. The old man's voice broke the silence. "You have such a kind heart, my dear," he said softly, his wrinkled hands trembling slightly as he reached for the handle of his cane. His eyes, though tired, carried a sparkle that felt familiar, gentle, wise, and full of gratitude. Danielle smiled politely, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "It's nothing, really," she said. "I'm just glad you're okay." She bent down again, making sure his bag was zipped and his groceries were neatly packed. Her hands were shaking a little. Not from the cold, but from the realization that the opportunity she had been chasing all morning had just slipped away. The train, the one that would have taken her to her dream interview, was gone. "Are you all right?" the man asked, noticing the flicker of worry in her eyes. "Yes," she replied quickly, forcing a small laugh. "I just missed my train, but that's all right. There'll be another one." He studied her face carefully. "You were in a hurry, weren't you?" Danielle hesitated, then nodded. "I had an important interview downtown. It could have been a big step for me." The man's expression softened. "Ah," he said thoughtfully. "Life has a strange way of slowing us down sometimes, usually for reasons we don't see right away." His words lingered in her mind as they walked slowly toward the benches near the platform. She insisted on carrying his bag, even though he said he could manage. The morning rush had already thinned out, and the station felt quieter now, filled only with the distant hum of trains coming and going. They sat down together. Danielle took a deep breath, her heart still torn between regret and peace. She glanced at the man beside her, wondering who he was and why she felt such a calm presence around him. He smiled again, the kind of smile that carried stories behind it. "My name's Mr. Thompson," he said, extending his hand with a slight tremor. "And you, young lady?" "Danielle," she replied, shaking his hand gently. "Danielle," he repeated, as if testing the sound of it. "That's a strong name." She chuckled lightly. "Thank you. My mother always said it means God is my judge." "Ah," said, nodding slowly. "Then you must believe that everything happens for a reason." Danielle tilted her head, thinking. "I used to," she admitted quietly. "But lately, life hasn't been so kind. I've been trying so hard to make something of myself. This job interview, it felt like my last chance. And now?" Her voice trailed off, filled with disappointment. Mr. Thompson rested his cane between his knees. His hands clasped on top of it. "Let me tell you something," he began softly. "I've lived long enough to know that sometimes the things we miss are not mistakes, they're redirections." Danielle listened closely, surprised by how much comfort his words brought her. He continued, "You see, kindness has a funny way of circling back to us. You helped me today, even when the world rushed past. Don't think that goes unnoticed. The universe has its own way of repaying good hearts." For a moment, Danielle forgot her frustration. She found herself really smiling for the first time that morning. "I hope you're right," she said. Mr. Thompson chuckled softly. "I know I am," he replied. A new train announcement echoed through the station. Next train to downtown arriving in 15 minutes. Danielle looked up at the board. Then back at Mr. Thompson. She could still make it to the interview, though she'd be late. But strangely, she no longer felt as anxious. "Do you live nearby?" she asked. He nodded. "Yes, just 2 stops away. I come here every Monday to buy groceries. My wife used to come with me." Before she passed, his voice wavered slightly, but his smile remained. She loved this routine. I still do it for her. Danielle's heart softened. "That's really sweet of you," she said. "You must have loved her a lot." "More than words can say," he murmured. "We were married for 50 years. She always believed in kindness, told me. It's the only thing that never loses its value." Danielle smiled faintly. "Your wife sounds like a wonderful woman." "She was," he said, eyes distant for a moment. "And today, you reminded me of her." Danielle blinked, touched by his words. She didn't know what to say. The moment felt strangely spiritual, as if fate had brought her to this exact place at this exact time for a reason. She couldn't yet understand. The clock ticked quietly above them. The world seemed to slow down again. Just the two of them sitting in the middle of a busy station, and old man with memories, and a young woman with dreams. As the next train rolled in, Danielle stood up and helped Mr. Thompson to his feet. He turned to her one last time before stepping onto the train. "You've got a bright future ahead, Danielle," he said. "Don't lose hope. What's meant for you will never pass you by." She nodded, her throat tight with emotion. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson, for everything." He smiled kindly. "No, my dear. Thank you. You reminded me that there are still good people in this world." The doors closed behind him, and the train began to move. Danielle stood there watching until it disappeared into the tunnel. Her reflection stared back at her in the glass window, tired, hopeful, and somehow lighter. She whispered to herself, maybe missing that train wasn't such a bad thing after all. Little did she know, this small act of kindness had already set in motion something extraordinary, something that would soon change her life forever. The next 15 minutes felt longer than an hour. Danielle sat quietly on the cold metal bench, her fingers tracing the edge of her bag, lost in thought. The sound of footsteps echoed around her, the constant shuffle of travelers coming and going. But inside her heart, there was only silence, the kind that happens after you make a choice that changes something inside. She had missed her train. She had lost her perfect timing. But somehow, she didn't feel regret anymore. The old man's words still echoed in her mind like a gentle song. What's meant for you will never pass you by. The next train arrived with a low rumble, its doors sliding open with a hiss. Danielle stood up slowly, straightened her blazer, and took a deep breath. "All right," she whispered to herself, "let's see where this one takes me." The train car was half empty. She found a seat near the window, her reflection blending with the city rushing past. She looked at the passing buildings, people, and parks, everything moving fast, while she sat still. It reminded her of life itself. Sometimes, everyone was so busy running that they forgot to pause, to care, to see. She remembered the old man's smile, the warmth in his wrinkled eyes, the calm in his voice. There was something about him that didn't feel ordinary. He wasn't just a random person. There was a feeling like she was meant to meet him that morning as the train rolled toward downtown. Danielle thought about her interview. She knew she would arrive late, and chances were slim that they'd still see her. But she also knew she couldn't undo her choice. She had chosen kindness over success, and that had to mean something. She pulled out her phone and typed an email to the HR manager. "Dear Mr. Lewis, I'm terribly sorry for being late to the interview. I faced an unexpected delay on my way, but I'm still on my way and hope to make it soon. Thank you for understanding." She hit send and sighed. Her reflection in the train window looked back at her, tired, nervous, but strong. The kind of strength that comes not from control, but from courage. When the train finally reached downtown, Danielle hurried out, her heels clicking against the marble floor of the station. The city buzzed around her, cars honking, people talking, street vendors calling out. She felt the pulse of life, and though she was late, something inside her told her to stay calm. By the time she reached the tall glass building of J&H Marketing Group, her watch read 9:25 a.m. The interview had been scheduled for 9 o'clock. She took a deep breath, wiped the light sweat from her forehead, and walked inside with quiet determination. At the front desk, the receptionist looked up. "Good morning. How may I help you?" Danielle offered a polite smile. "I'm here for an interview with Mr. Lewis, Danielle Carter." The receptionist's smile faded slightly. "Yes. The interview started at 9. I believe Mr. Lewis already stepped into another meeting." Danielle felt her heart sink, but she didn't show it. "That's all right," she said softly. "Could you please let him know I'm here, just in case there's a moment to speak?" The receptionist nodded kindly. "I'll try, ma'am. Please take a seat." Danielle sat in the small waiting area, her hands folded neatly on her lap. She could see her reflection in the shiny glass table before her, calm on the outside. But inside, her thoughts were a storm. Minutes turned into half an hour. People passed by, smiling or whispering quietly. Danielle's mind began to drift again, back to the station, to the old man, to his kind words. Kindness always circles back. She wondered if he was home safely. She even thought about calling the station to check if he was all right. But she realized she didn't even know his full name or where he lived. All she knew was his calm smile and gentle eyes, just as she was about to stand and leave. A voice broke through the air. Danielle Carter. She looked up to see a woman in a dark blue suit standing by the hallway door. "Yes, that's me." "Mr. Lewis can see you now," the woman said, motioning for her to follow. Danielle blinked in surprise. "He can." "Yes," the woman replied with a small smile. "He specifically asked for you." Danielle's heart jumped. She quickly gathered her things and followed down the long hallway. The walls were lined with photos of award-winning campaigns, smiling employees, and framed quotes about success. But one quote caught her eye as she passed. "Success without compassion is just emptiness in disguise." She couldn't help but smile faintly. Maybe missing that train wasn't a mistake after all. When she reached the door to the interview room, the woman opened it and said softly, "Good luck." Danielle stepped inside. The room was bright, with a large window overlooking the city. Behind the desk sat an elderly man in a charcoal suit, glasses resting on his nose, a calm smile on his face. For a second, Danielle froze. Her heart skipped a beat. It was him, the old man from the train station. He looked up from the file in his hand and smiled knowingly. "Miss Carter," he said gently, "please have a seat." Danielle's mouth opened, but no words came out. Her mind spun, confusion, shock, disbelief. He chuckled softly. "You look like you've seen a ghost. Don't worry. I was hoping I'd see you again." Danielle finally managed to whisper, "You? You're Mr. Thompson." He nodded, eyes twinkling. "That's my name, outside the office. But in here, people call me Mr. Harold Thompson, chairman of J&H Marketing Group." Her breath caught. She could barely believe what she was hearing. The man she helped that morning, the one whose groceries she picked up, whose train she waited for, was the head of the very company she had come to interview for. Mr. Thompson leaned back in his chair, smiling warmly. "You were late this morning," he said kindly, "but for the best reason possible." Danielle sat there, stunned, realizing that maybe, just maybe, missing that train was the best thing that had ever happened to her. Asterisk for a long moment. Danielle just sat there, frozen in disbelief. The man sitting across from her, the one she had helped only hours ago at the train station, was now the chairman of the company she had dreamed of joining. Life had a strange sense of timing, and in that quiet office filled with golden morning light, she could feel destiny smiling at her. Mr. Thompson leaned back in his chair, his eyes kind and calm, just as they were at the station. "You look surprised," he said, a hint of amusement in his voice. Danielle blinked and gave a nervous laugh. "That's an understatement. I didn't expect to see you here," he chuckled softly. "And I didn't expect to see you again so soon either. But I'm glad I did." There was a brief silence before he continued, his tone thoughtful. "You know, Danielle, when you helped me this morning, you didn't just pick up a few groceries. You picked up my faith in people again. I watched so many walk by, young, strong, capable people, too busy to notice an old man in need. But you stopped." Danielle's cheeks warmed. "It just felt right," she said quietly. "I couldn't walk away." Mr. Thompson nodded slowly, his gaze soft. "That's exactly the kind of person I want on my team." Her eyes widened. "You mean?" he smiled. "Yes. I want to hear more about you, Danielle. Forget the interview format. Just tell me, who are you?" She hesitated for a moment, then spoke from her heart. "I'm someone who's trying to build a better life," she said honestly. "I've worked hard, but it's been difficult. I've made mistakes, lost opportunities, and sometimes I doubted myself. But I never stopped trying. I believe that kindness and effort eventually pay off, even if it takes time." Mr. Thompson listened intently, nodding with a proud smile. "You remind me of someone I once knew, my wife. She had that same spark in her eyes when she spoke about life, the same hope that goodness still matters." Danielle felt tears prick the corners of her eyes. "She must have been a wonderful person," she said softly. "She was," he replied, a faraway look in his eyes. "She always told me, help those who show heart, not just skill. I've carried that with me ever since." He paused, then looked back at Danielle. "And this morning, when you helped me, I saw that same heart." The room felt warm, almost glowing with something unspoken gratitude, destiny, and grace all woven together. After a few moments, Mr. Thompson smiled again. "You know, Danielle, I still need someone for that marketing role. But I think you've already passed the most important test, the test of character." Danielle's heart thudded in her chest. "Are you saying?" T nodded. "I'm offering you the position. You'll start as a junior associate, but I have a feeling you won't stay at that level for long." For a second, she couldn't speak. The world around her blurred. Everything she had hoped for, fought for, dreamed about, was all happening, but not the way she had planned. Not through perfect timing or flawless answers, but through kindness. Tears welled in her eyes. "Mr. Thompson, I don't know what to say. Thank you doesn't seem enough." He smiled warmly. "Then don't thank me. Thank yourself for listening to your heart." Danielle laughed softly through her tears. "I almost didn't stop," she admitted. "I saw you struggling, but part of me thought, if I help him, I'll miss my train. And I did. But now I realize, didn't miss anything. I found something much more important." Mr. Thompson's eyes glistened with emotion. "Exactly," he said gently. "Sometimes life delays us to lead us to where we truly belong." The clock on the wall ticked quietly as sunlight filtered through the tall glass window. It fell across Danielle's face, making her eyes sparkle with a new light hope. After they finished talking, Mr. Thompson handed her a small company folder and stood up. "Welcome to J&H Marketing, Danielle. I'll have my assistant take care of the details." She stood as well, shaking his hand firmly. "I won't let you down," she said with conviction. "I know you won't," he replied with a smile. "You've already proven more than any resume ever could." As Danielle stepped out of the office, she felt lighter than she had in years. The receptionist smiled as she passed, and Danielle returned it, her heart full. Outside, the city looked brighter. The air felt fresher. She stopped on the sidewalk for a moment, closed her eyes, and took a deep breath. She thought about how easily she could have chosen differently that morning, how one small decision, one act of kindness had rewritten the entire course of her life. It wasn't just luck. It was the quiet magic of doing the right thing. Even when no one was watching, as she walked down the street, her phone buzzed again. It was Maya. "How'd it go? Tell me everything." Danielle smiled, her fingers hovering over the screen before she typed back, "I missed my train, but I found my destiny." And for the first time in a long while, she truly believed that the universe rewards the kind, in ways we never expect, but always when we need it most. The next few days passed like a dream for Danielle. Every morning when she woke up, she had to remind herself that it was real, that she had actually gotten the job. Each time she put on her work clothes and took the train downtown, she couldn't help but smile at the thought of how everything had happened. Her first day at J&H Marketing Group was a mixture of excitement and nervousness. The tall glass building, the soft hum of office chatter, and the polished desks all made her feel like she had stepped into another world. It wasn't just a job to her. It was a chance to start again, to rebuild her confidence and believe in herself once more. When she walked into her new department, she was greeted by a small team of friendly faces. A cheerful young woman named Leela waved at her. "You must be the new associate. Welcome, Danielle." Danielle smiled warmly. "Thank you. I'm really happy to be here." Leela grinned. "Oh, you will love it here. Mr. Thompson personally introducing a new hire doesn't happen often. You must have made quite the impression." Danielle blushed slightly. "Something like that," she said with a soft laugh. Though she knew the real reason had nothing to do with impressing and everything to do with compassion. Throughout the day, she focused on learning her tasks, meeting her team, and soaking in everything around her. She was a quick learner and had a natural eye for creativity. By lunchtime, she was already giving small suggestions that impressed her supervisor. But even as she worked, her mind kept drifting back to Mr. Thompson. He hadn't just given her a job, he had changed her life. His calm words at the interview kept echoing in her mind. Sometimes, life delays us to lead us to where we truly belong. Later that afternoon, Danielle received a message from the chairman's assistant. "Mr. Thompson would like to see you in his office at 4 p.m. Her heart skipped a beat. Had she done something wrong? She took a deep breath, straightened her blazer, and walked toward the top floor. When she entered the office, Mr. Thompson greeted her with his usual kind smile. "Ah, Danielle. Come in, come in. How was your first day?" "It's going great, sir," she said, smiling nervously. "I'm learning so much already." He nodded approvingly. "I knew you would. You have a good head on your shoulders and a good heart, the best combination for success." Danielle smiled shyly. "Thank you. That means a lot." He gestured toward a framed picture on his desk, a photo of a younger, pleased Mr. Thompson standing beside a woman with bright eyes and a kind smile. "That's my wife," he said softly. Her name was Clara. Danielle stepped closer, admiring the warmth in the photo. "She looks lovely." "She was," he said, with a fond smile. You know, Clara believed that kindness was never wasted. She used to say, "Even if no one sees it, God does." Danielle nodded, her heart full. "My mother used to say something similar. Maybe that's why I stopped to help you that morning. It just felt like the right thing to do." Mr. Thompson looked at her with quiet pride. And that's exactly the kind of heart this world needs more of. He paused for a moment, then added, "Danielle, I didn't tell you this earlier, but I was having a rough morning that day. I had just come from the hospital, my wife's anniversary. I was lost in my thoughts. And when I dropped my things, no one noticed. Except you." Danielle's eyes softened. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Thompson. I didn't know." He smiled gently. "You couldn't have, but your kindness reminded me of her. That morning when you helped me, it felt like she was speaking through you, reminding me to keep believing in good people." Danielle felt a lump form in her throat. "I don't know what to say." "Don't say anything," he said, waving his hand kindly. "Just promise me something, no matter how far you go in life. Never stop choosing compassion, even when it costs you something. That's the true mark of greatness." She nodded firmly. "I promise." There was a moment of silence, filled only by the soft hum of the city below. Then Mr. Thompson reached into a drawer and handed her a small card. "You'll need this for next week. I'd like you to attend the company's annual charity gala. You'll meet our partners, clients, and some amazing people. Consider it your official welcome." Danielle looked at the elegant card in awe. "Thank you, sir. I'll be there." As she left the office, she couldn't stop smiling. Every step she took felt lighter, as though the universe itself was applauding her small act of kindness. That evening, while riding the train home, Danielle looked out the window as the city lights flickered like stars. She thought about how a single moment, a decision made in the middle of a noisy station, had changed everything. The train slowed at a familiar stop, and she smiled, recognizing it as the same place where she had met Mr. Thompson. The memory played vividly in her mind, the spilled groceries, the rushing crowd, her racing heart. Only now she realized something deeper. That train she missed wasn't a delay. It was a doorway. When she reached home, she sat by the window with a cup of tea, looking out at the glowing city. The night air was cool and calm. She whispered to herself, "Maybe the world gives us small chances to prove who we are. And when we do, it opens bigger doors." Her phone buzzed again, a message from an unknown number. "This is Mr. Thompson. Thank you again for your kindness. My wife would have liked you very much." Danielle's eyes welled up with tears. She typed back softly, "Thank you, sir." "I think she already does." And with that, she closed her phone, leaned back, and smiled, not because her life was perfect, but because she finally understood that real success begins with a kind heart. A week later. The night of the charity gala arrived, a night that would once again change Danielle's life in ways she couldn't imagine. The city shimmered like 1,000 diamonds scattered across the skyline. The ballroom at the Grand Marlowe Hotel was breathtaking: golden chandeliers, crystal glasses, and the soft sound of violins playing in the background. People dressed in elegant suits and sparkling gowns filled the room, their laughter and conversation blending into a soft, graceful hum. Danielle stood near the entrance for a moment, taking it all in. She wore a simple but elegant navy blue dress that matched her calm spirit. Her hair was pulled neatly back, and the silver pendant around her neck, a small gift from her late mother, glowed softly under the lights. She felt nervous, but also proud. "This is it," she whispered to herself, taking a deep breath. A new beginning. As she walked further in, she spotted Mr. Thompson standing near the stage, speaking warmly with a few guests. When he noticed her, his face lit up. Double quotes. "Ah, Danielle." "You made it," he said, waving her over. She smiled. "Of course, sir. I wouldn't miss it." He gestured around the room. "These are some of our partners, investors, and a few lifelong friends. I wanted you to see that success is not just about work, it's also about connection, about community." Danielle nodded, soaking in his words. "It's beautiful," she said honestly. Mr. Thompson chuckled. "Just wait till you hear the stories tonight. Every person here has faced something: loss, failure, hardship. But they rose again because someone believed in them." As the evening went on, Danielle mingled with the guests, introducing herself and listening to their journeys. She found herself drawn to one woman in particular, Mrs. Elaine Carter, a well-known entrepreneur who ran a nonprofit for underprivileged students. "You must be the new associate Mr. Thompson keeps talking about," Elaine said with a warm smile. Danielle blushed. "He mentioned me." "Oh, he did more than that," Elaine laughed. "He said, she's proof that kindness can build a career faster than ambition ever could." Danielle laughed softly. "That sounds like him." As the two women spoke, Elaine shared her story about growing up poor and building her organization from scratch. Danielle listened, inspired by her resilience and grace. Later that night, the lights dimmed, and Mr. Thompson stepped onto the stage. The crowd grew silent as he took the microphone. "Good evening, everyone," he began, his voice calm yet strong. "Tonight is not just about raising funds. It's about remembering what truly matters. In business, we chase profits. In life, we chase purpose. But the truth is, they're not so different because purpose always brings prosperity." People nodded, listening intently. Then, to Danielle's surprise, he looked directly at her. "Sometimes," he continued, "life sends us reminders through people. A few days ago, a young woman reminded me of something I had forgotten, that kindness still exists in this fast-moving world. She helped me when I fell, even though it cost her something important. And because of that, she reminded me that humanity is our greatest strength." The crowd turned, following his gaze. Danielle froze, her heart pounding. Mr. Thompson smiled. "That young woman is here tonight. Danielle, would you please stand?" Her breath caught in her throat. Slowly, she rose to her feet, every eye in the room now on her. She could feel the warmth of hundreds of faces, strangers who suddenly looked at her like she was someone worth knowing. Mr. Thompson went on, "Danielle didn't know who I was when she helped me. She just saw an old man who needed a hand. But that act of compassion did something extraordinary. It brought her here to this very moment. Let her story remind us all that what we give in kindness always returns multiplied." The audience broke into applause, warm, genuine, and loud. Danielle's eyes filled with tears. She had never felt so seen, so valued. It wasn't for her appearance, her resume, or her achievements. It was for her heart. After the applause settled, Mr. Thompson continued, "Tonight, we'll be donating in honor of that spirit to a new fund supporting young women starting their careers. And we'll name it the Clara Foundation after my late wife, whose belief in kindness lives on through people like Danielle." Danielle couldn't stop the tears that slipped down her cheeks. The crowd stood again in applause, not just for her, but for the message behind it. When the gala ended, guests came up to congratulate her. Some thanked her for inspiring them. Others shared stories of their own moments of compassion. For the first time, Danielle realized how powerful one good choice could be, how one person's kindness could ripple through hundreds of lives. Later that night, as she stood on the hotel balcony overlooking the city, Mr. Thompson joined her. The city lights stretched endlessly below. "Danielle," he said softly, "I hope tonight showed you that sometimes when we miss one train, it's because another one, the right one, is waiting further down the tracks." She smiled through her tears. "You were right, Mr. Thompson. Life doesn't take things from us. It gives us chances to prove who we are." He nodded, eyes glistening. "And you proved yourself beautifully." They stood in silence for a while, the cool night breeze carrying the sound of music and laughter from inside. Danielle looked at the stars and whispered, a quiet thank you, not to fate, not to luck, but to the simple choice she had made that morning, to stop and help, because that one act of kindness had rewritten her destiny. Asterisk. The following weeks at J&H Marketing Group felt like walking in a dream for Danielle. Every day brought something new, new projects, new faces, new challenges, but also a new sense of purpose. The speech at the gala had changed everything. People in the company now looked at her differently, not just as the new employee, but as someone who represented hope. Some even started calling her the Kindness Girl, a name she wore with quiet pride. Still, Danielle didn't let the attention distract her. She worked hard, stayed humble, and treated everyone from the janitor to the senior executives with the same respect. Her kindness wasn't for show. It was simply who she was. One morning, as she sipped her coffee and prepared for a meeting, her supervisor, Leela, rushed into her office with excitement. "Danielle, Mr. Thompson wants to see you." "Now?" Her heart jumped. "Did he say why?" Lila shook her head, smiling. "No idea." But he looked happy, curious. Danielle grabbed her notebook and headed upstairs. When she entered the chairman's office, she found Mr. Thompson standing near the window, gazing out at the skyline. He turned around with a warm smile. "Ah, Danielle, come in. I've got something special to tell you." She smiled nervously. "Is everything okay, sir?" He nodded. "More than okay. Do you remember the foundation we announced at the gala?" "The Clara Foundation." "Of course," she said. "That was such a beautiful tribute to your wife." "Ah." He smiled softly. "Well, it's growing faster than we expected. Several partners have joined in to support it, and I want you to help me lead it." Danielle's eyes widened. "Me? Yes, you," he said firmly. "You understand the heart behind it. You're the reason it began in the first place. I want you to oversee its first project, a mentorship program for young women who need a second chance, just like you once did." Her throat tightened with emotion. "Mr. Thompson, I don't even know what to say." He chuckled. "Say yes. The rest will come naturally." She laughed softly, still stunned. "Then yes. 1,000 times, yes." Mr. Thompson nodded, satisfied. "Good. The first orientation is this Saturday. You'll meet some of the women the foundation is supporting. I have a feeling you'll connect with them." That Saturday morning, Danielle arrived early at the community center where the event was held. She had spent the entire night preparing a small speech about hope, kindness, and second chances. The room slowly filled with young women, some nervous, some shy, but all carrying the same uncertain spark she once had. When she stepped onto the stage, she took a deep breath and smiled at them. "I want to tell you a story," she began gently. "A few weeks ago, I missed a train. I thought it was the worst thing that could happen that day. But that one missed train changed my entire life. The room grew quiet, every eye focused on her. I stopped to help someone who needed me, she continued. And that moment, that simple act, opened doors I never imagined. So, if you've ever felt like life made you late, or that you missed your chance, maybe it's just leading you to something better. Something that's yours. By the time she finished, many of the women were in tears. Danielle's words didn't just sound inspiring, they felt real. Because they were. After the session, a young woman named Amira approached her. She looked barely 20, her eyes filled with both fear and hope. "Miss Danielle," she said softly, "your story. It's my story too. I lost my scholarship last year and thought my dreams were over. But hearing you today, it makes me believe I can start again." Danielle's eyes warmed. She reached out and squeezed Amira's hand. "You can. And you will. Sometimes the path changes, but that doesn't mean the destination disappears." Amira smiled, tears shining in her eyes. "Thank you. You don't know what that means to me." Danielle felt a familiar warmth in her chest, the same feeling she had the day she helped Mr. Thompson at the station. It was as if life had come full circle, passing the light forward. Later that afternoon, when everyone had left, Danielle stayed behind to tidy up the hall. As she picked up a stack of papers from the stage, she heard a soft voice behind her. "You did well today," Mr. Thompson said, stepping inside. She turned, smiling. "You came." "Of course," he said. "I wouldn't miss it for the world. You spoke beautifully, Danielle. You didn't just tell a story, you changed hearts." She smiled, her eyes glistening. "Thank you, sir. But honestly, you're the one who changed mine." He shook his head. "No, I only reminded you of what was already inside you." They stood there for a moment, the sun filtering through the tall windows, painting everything in gold. The silence was peaceful, full of gratitude and quiet understanding. Then Mr. Thompson handed her a small envelope. "I want you to open this at home," he said with a wink. That night, sitting on her couch with a cup of tea, Danielle opened it. Inside was a handwritten note that said, "For every train you miss, remember, it might just be stopping you for something greater. Keep being the reason the world believes in kindness."